Thanks for staying with us. NAGRATS, the Graduate Teachers Association, they've got some issues with the GS, if you like. We're going to be outlining some of their concerns. They say they are burning issues that need to be addressed. I've got the president in studio. We'll talk about other matters as well. Good morning to you, Mr. Angel Carbonu.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Before we get on to your concerns, which you've put in a statement to the Ghana Education Service, where are we with the free SHS? It still confuses me.
Absolutely it is, because if you recall, as a teacher union with most of our members in the senior high schools, we cautioned government at the implementation stage of the free SHS that the sustainability issue ought to be addressed, and that we felt that at the time the policy was being implemented, from where we were at that time and where we are now, we foresaw that the double track that came with the free SHS was not going to be sustainable. Today, it looks as if I have catapulted from the stage of an angel to a prophet. On the lighter side, though, that the government itself is now saying that from this September, over 350 secondary schools are no longer going to be on the double track. Now, as to how that is going to work out, because I can see some foundations being dug in schools now, so that they can put up buildings to be able to take on the numbers, you know, as to whether those buildings will be ready by September, because we're in June, as to whether they'll be ready as classrooms in September, well, that is yet to be seen. But it is as if that if we had sat down and soberly reflected before implementing that policy, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are as we speak. Again, we also spoke about sustainability, that there will be, yes, intervention is good because we have poor people and that we are vulnerable people who are supposed to be supported by the state. But we also have other people who are capable. And our concerns, our position was even trumpeted by the Minister of Finance, that look, he can pay and pay even for somebody else.
Yeah, but wasn't that a bit clear? It was going to be difficult to make the differentiation and say those of you who can pay, those who cannot pay. I mean, it was going to be difficult. They wanted to do just a blanket thing. I
can assure you that if we had opened and come up with a strategy, majority of people would have paid for the awards in senior high school. I can assure you that.
Really?
I can assure you that. Again, if the burden of sustaining the free senior high school becomes too heavy on the shoulders of government.
But government hasn't said so, remember? They haven't asked that they are in a difficult place.
But when you start with funding, when you start seeing a dwindling numbers of boarding house opportunity facilities, then that tells you that there's a cap on the number of students who can go to boarding house, and that there is this agenda of opening up schools to become more day schools than boarding schools.
Is there?
I can assure you there is. I can assure we need to do audit of the numbers, and then we can arrive at the point where we all realize that, yes, government will not come and tell you that it is reeling under the burden, but when these policies are getting introduced into the system, then you are getting there.
Can you be a bit more clear? So are schools taking in a lot more less students in the boarding facilities?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Do we know why?
Yeah, just because the burden is on the shoulders of government. The government is reeling under the burden of the financing the free senior high school. You know, you see, it is normal, it is natural that hitherto it was more or less an open system, where people who prefer to be in boarding house could be in boarding house. Now, a lot more people are looking forward to, there's a policy that once you have been admitted into Form 1 as a day student, you cannot convert, even when you change school in the second year, to convert into boarding school. So you perpetually become a day student.
But this was not the case before.
No, this was not the case before. The case before was the availability of space, and that when students progress, for example, there was a case in Accra Girls those days that because of lack of space, boarding opportunity was given to Form 2s and Form 3 more than Form 1s. But as Form 1s moved to Form 2, they were also given boarding house opportunity. We need to look at this issue with the reality of the environment that we find ourselves, that the distraction of the home situation vis-a-vis the boarding house situation that allows students to concentrate under supervision of teachers and so on and so all these things come to play. But our position is that when we are implementing a policy, we need to think through the policy so well so that we don't get some of these drawbacks as we progress.
Are we concluding that this policy has been a failure?
Well, I wouldn't conclude it because I've not done any study to come to that conclusion. But I do know that there are challenges. And the challenges are as a result of the fact that we should have sat down and think through the policy before implementation.
Government agreed and accepted that there were going to be challenges along the way because this was the first time that we're implementing a thing like this. But as and when the challenges come up, we would find a way to deal with it.
You see, when there are problems with human life and human development, the remedial situations are not like inanimate objects. We are dealing with people. We are dealing with boys and girls at a very critical ages of their lives, you know. And if things go wrong, if you are not careful, it can follow them all the way through their lives. That is when you are implementing an educational policy, you will have to think through the policy, pilot the policy, and make sure that the shortfalls are minimized as possible. Because we are dealing with human lives here. You know, for example, if there is a problem with the policy, yes, the principle of addressing the policy when the problems come. What about the life of the people? What about the fact that we cannot turn back the hands of time with regards to the lives of our young people? They are not like adults that we can adapt to changing situations, but these are growing up young boys and girls. That is why educational policy ought to be documented, the document discussed by professionals, and I hold the view always that the politicians do not have any business running education. Education should be run by people who have been professionally trained and have experience in administering education anywhere in the world.
I absolutely get where you're coming from. Let's talk about the effect on the children. You're obviously a teacher, you're in the classroom. What do they understand? Because when I see secondary school students, I tend to ask, so which track are you on? What is happening right now? Are they clear in their minds where they are with this whole tracking?
For them, yeah, that is the system they got themselves into. So to them, that is the reality. But for us as teachers and parents, and I am an example. My daughter, my first girl, is in senior high school Form 2. Okay. And she came home for in the first place, I don't even ascribe to the semester system that we are running for senior high schools. Because she will have to stay home for about 2 to 3 months before she goes back to school. And for the first time, I have never been as scared as that, because she goes for she will have to attend classes, and she goes for classes, and she's attending those classes for 2 months.
But that's not free, right? That's something that you pay for.
No, I paid 1,200 Ghana cedis for the classes, adding the transportation to it and the food. But
there were some assurances that when the children came home, they would have some form of extra classes.
Nothing like that happened. I sent my daughter, I stay in Medina, so I sent my daughter to classes at a school around Presec. You know, you pay for the classes fee, you pay for transportation, you pay for food, and of course the fact that she does not want to wear her old clothes and that she wants to wear, I mean, those are, but the fact is, at the end of the day, you end up paying more than if the girl or the boy had been in school. I have a serious problem with the semester program in a senior high school because of the length. Our days are no longer the days of my mother was a teacher, so most often than not she was at home. But today, the society is changed. Yeah. So parents even want their kids to be in school so that they can concentrate at work and so on and so forth. This is actually, from my point of view and my observation, not the best for our kids.
So she's home for the next 2 months?
She'll be home for the next 2 months, and I have to get classes for her to attend because she cannot stay home and she'll just be watching TV.
Yeah.
And again, when we don't have that sense of continuity in teaching, at that age, they drop back. You know, they have to come to school, and the influence of home will have to be shed off for a while before they get
it's
into
like starting
the
all over again.
It's starting all over again.
Yeah.
I don't ascribe to the semester system for the senior high school.
Okay, so now you are in a, I don't know if it's a difficult place or not, but you're a parent and you're also a stakeholder.
Yes.
So in both ways, you're a stakeholder.
Absolutely.
What's the plan going forward?
Well, I will want as stakeholders, correctly as you described, all of us should have to come and sit again at the round table and see what type of approach we will have to develop for our senior high school, for the good of our children and the good of our future. That will have to be done. Education policies cannot be static. Educational policies will have to be dynamic. And when we have identified problems, education is for us, the schools are for us, the kids are for us. Therefore, nobody should hold to a policy and idolize the policy and create the impression that in changing the policy, it affects its political fortunes. That is not the interest we have. Our interest is in the future of our children and the future of the educational system we have in this country.
Would you have paid if you were given the option?
I would have paid, you would have paid, I know. The two of us here, we are in a bracket where we are capable of paying. Yes. Well, so 100%.
There was the issue of people are capable of but when it comes to the point where they should pay, a lot more people would say they want it for free.
We also have those category of people. But when we sit down and think through the system very well, you will realize that we will have to introduce measures that would disincentivize those people from taking advantage. A few will slip through the net. For example, I do know people, those days when they were implementing the Northern Scholarship thing for all Northerners, I do know Northerners who felt that they don't belong to that category of people to take advantage of free education for their children. And they decided to pay for their own kids. Yes. So, for example, if we introduce the double system where people who can pay should pay, people who can't pay should not pay, then of course, if I'm able to pay, that payment can get my kid to go to a certain school, or because I'm going to pay also for boarding house. You know, we will have to sit down and think through the system. The way it is now, honestly speaking, I don't think it's the best.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so we'll come back to this subject definitely, but let's also spend some time on your concerns. Reason you've written to the Ghana Education Service.
Yes.
You have issues, and I guess I can categorize them in 3 different pointers. Teachers yet to be placed on their correct grades and levels. Explain that.
Yeah. Joy FM, how did you get this statement? Who brought it to you? You people.
You know what Kweku Bako does. He did exactly what he did.
But when I was called yesterday, I was shocked. And they could enumerate everything for you point by point and say, you people here. All right, that's your job. Yes, it's a very unfortunate situation we find ourselves. We've written to the Ghana Education Service. 1, teachers have gone for interview. They've passed the interview. They've been placed on their rank, but there are no letters. For a whole year, there are no letters to
How is that a big deal?
It's a big deal because...
If you've been placed, it means that you're being paid, right?
Yes, you've been placed. Some have not been placed, so they are not being paid. Some have been placed, but there's no letter to that. Now, when you don't have a letter, that means that you cannot even move for another interview because there is no proof that you have actually passed an interview and you have been certified to have passed. That is the system that we run. Number 2, we have people who have not been put on their right grades. We have a situation where people have stayed on their rank. You are supposed to be on your rank for 4 years and then you are eligible to go for promotion. The way the system is being run right now, people are staying on their rank for 5-6 years. without being invited to go for promotions. Then there is also this issue that for a long time, teachers who have been given extra responsibilities, let's say form masters, heads of department, house masters, and so on and so forth. Whenever people go for promotion and they are promoted, it means that their status is changed. So when their status changes, they go back to base salary. Their heads will have to write letters indicating that in addition to their base salary, they are also performing extra responsibilities, like I have mentioned. Then they will be given those, they'll be upgraded financially to pay them for the responsibilities that they have. For a long while now, all those applications have gone to the Ghana Education Service. As we speak, the teachers have not been placed on the level to enjoy the additional responsibilities.
And this is only NAGRATS?
No, in the Ghana Education Service. In the Ghana Education Service. You see, we understand that the Public Services Commission is introduced a new system of verifying why Mr. A or B should be paid. But it looks as if it is not working. When we talk about the teachers who were newly recruited just for the senior high school, their first salary came only this month.
Really?
Yeah, their first salary came only this month.
But that is not entirely new, because you usually would get your back pay, and teachers are excited about that. Usually.
But after that, they would have died. You know, for you to stay for 7 months, 8 months before you come and get your pay, a lot would have happened to a lot of people. It looks as if the measures that have been introduced by the Public Services Commission is not working, or it is not working for the Ghana Education Service. And we thought that by now we should have sat down quickly and have a review. Because today, if you're a teacher and you are transferred from one school to the other, if you are not too careful with the system that is being implemented, you may lose your salary.
Is this an issue, or are these issues that you've already raised with the Ghana Education Service that they haven't responded to?
This issue of people who don't have promotion letters, this issue of people who have not been invited for promotion, this issue of people who have not been paid, we've raised it severally with the Ghana Education Service, and we have not found solutions to the problem.
Why do you think
I have a difficulty to even come to terms with the fact that the situation arose in the first place. And as to why it is not being addressed. If the Public Services Commission's prescription is a problem, we will have the government have to go around the Public Services prescription to pay the newly recruited teachers.
Oh, that's what happened.
That is how they were able to get their salaries. Other than that, if we look, this is a country where when we want to introduce ways of solving problems, we create more problems. You know,
is it not a case of the system is slow because perhaps this is the first time that we're trying this new approach?
The system is slow because the policy was again not thought through properly. Did they pilot the policy? Because I don't see how this should be a problem where the Ghana Education Service could not pay people just because a new system had been introduced. Someone who was given steady leave with pay, went to the university, came back, and he's not being placed. Someone was given steady leave without pay, went to the university, came back, he's not being placed.
If you're not being placed, is it not also perhaps because there's nothing for you to do?
No,
if there's no room, if there's no job, then you shouldn't be placed.
No, you have been given permission to go to school. We are not talking about those who went to school on their own.
Is it automatic that when you come back, you're reinstated?
Yes, once you have been given permission, then the GES does have your record. You are part of staff. You can either be given permission on steady leave with pay or steady leave without pay. The last time people came to my office, they indicated to me that the human resource director is telling them that the system as it's run now, they cannot, their re-entry into the Ghana Education Service is not automatic. The question is, who took that decision? Is that part of our conditions of service?
But are these people still being paid?
No.
Those who were at least on study leave with pay, who have come back, having been reinstated, are they still being paid?
Someone will have to validate you. So once you are not validated, it means that your salary stops. You know, hitherto, people come back from school. There is, we have the records of those who have been given permission to go to school. So those people get into the system. It is not a case of lack of vacancy. It's a case of, it's a systemic failure. That the system that is now being implemented is making it difficult for them to enter back into the service.
Is the GAS aware of this?
They are absolutely aware of it. And as to why they are taking this long while to address, we have suggested to them that if the Public Services Commission's prescriptions are not working, push it aside.
Can they just do that?
Yeah, because
is it just easy to do that?
Ghana Education Service is the largest public service organization in this country. The largest, when you bring all public service and civil service servants combined, their numbers will not be up to that of the Ghana Education Service. So it tells you that you cannot lump us with other public service and civil servants when you are implementing a policy like this. Maybe the Ghana Education Service payroll, there should be a separate payroll for such large numbers. Yes. You know.
What do you think the way forward is? Because we don't know yet what the GS would say with regards this latest statement that you have issued to them with your concerns. What do you think the way forward would be?
We have done the first thing by alerting them, and we are giving some time. We will be issuing a different kind of statement after a week or two. That will be a totally different kind of statement, you know, from our part. It is their duty to implement the policies. It is our duty to call to them, to caution them, to alert them on the challenges that we face. I think quickly they should call a stakeholder meeting of all those concerns, not only in the unions, even those who are implementing the policy, for us to quickly find solution to these policies immediately.
Is it to be a teacher today in Ghana? Explain to me and to the people watching, because you're always in the news. Really, is it fun to be a teacher today?
It is not.
How is it like?
It is not. It's absolutely not fun to be a teacher today, Mama V. You see, people think that we are happy to be in the news, but we always get into the news when issues arise, issues that could have been solved. For example, if the condition of service says that a worker stays on his rank for 4 years and goes for interview, when before even the 4th year, I think that interview advertisement ought to come out. As at now, let me even tell you something strange, and I told her in Ghana, when we are improving things, it becomes more difficult. The Ghana Education Service this year decided that application for interview will be online, a very good thing to do. A few days after the online portal was opened, the online portal ceased working.
Did it crash? Because people were rushing to it, so the numbers were a bit too
If it did crash, it tells you that the space and volume created did not take into consideration the number of people that you are dealing with.
So what happened? Did you revert to?
Yeah, so as at now, I just read, I don't have any official letter to that effect. I am reading from social media that the GES is taking notice of the fact that the line is not working and that teachers to hold on until it comes back online, so on and so forth. Now the question is that will the time be extended? And it has to be extended. Number two, when teachers go for interview, they are supposed to prove that during the time of their previous rank, they have done CPD, the continuous development programs. But as the Ghana Education Service have not mounted any continuous development programs. So from where do the teachers get that? But
that's their mandate. Is that supposed to come from them?
It's the mandate of the employer to have mounted continuous development program.
Okay.
If you fail as a teacher to avail yourself, then that becomes your problem.
So programs such as?
Oh, in-service training, refresher courses, and so on. So that, you see, the academic certificate in itself is not the issue, but as you teach on a rank, you will have to improve yourself.
But is it not also in you identifying some of these programs and applying and saying that I want to be part of this training?
Yes.
So approve?
So the employer will have to set its programs, but if there are other private ones that you as an individual want to avail yourself, you are at liberty to do it.
Okay.
It adds to the improvement. But the employer is mandated by law to mount programs for teachers to avail themselves to it. So all these problems, I'm supposed to apply for interview, the portal is not working, my promotion letters have not been presented to me, we have issues.
If you don't have the promotion letter, it means that you still stay where you are.
Yes, what it means, for example, someone wants to become an assistant headmistress or a headmaster. So the interviews have been opened. Now, one of the requirements is to bring letters to prove that you have been promoted from previous rank. The pay slip itself is not enough. You have to bring the letter signed by the Director General indicating that you were promoted from the previous rank to the current rank.
Okay.
Now, the person cannot go for the interview because he or she does not have that letter. And that is creating a problem.
Interesting.
Yes, that's good.
Wow.
And these are things I thought we shouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah, these are administrative matters.
Yes, but it affects those downline. You know, everybody is not teaching in Accra or Kumasi. Somebody is teaching in the village behind Vakpo in the Volta region. So that person will have to come all the way to Kwando or Ho or Accra, and it's a problem. We will have to find solutions to this problem because teachers are gravely affected. So
as an association, I mean, if the GES doesn't address these issues that you've penned down to them, what do? I know that you've already said that you are going to issue another statement, you're going to give them some time, but what in the meantime, what are you telling those colleagues of yours who keep coming to you because this is an association, they are supposed to pass their grievances through you and get it addressed? Yes,
they have indeed passed their grievances through us. We have sent those challenges and grievances to the Ghana Education Service. They know because we've sent the letter that we sent to GES, we've put it on the various platforms that we have, they've read it. But it is not enough. If after some time we still have these challenges lingering on, as an association, we'll just have to advise ourselves.
Interesting. Let me just say that since we got hold of this letter, apparently leaked, maybe not, we've been trying to get hold of the Ghana Education Service for some answers. We have not been successful in that. So when we do, we'll bring that other side of the story to you. But just before we wrap up, I wanted to ask, so when the schools are on break, what do the teachers do?
We have we have group of teachers who teach track A or B or green track or gold track as it is called. So when the students are on break, those track of teachers are also supposed to be on their holidays. That is when they mark the scripts.
Okay.
You know, teachers in this country do not have leave. We work all year round.
Oh, well, you go on leave with the students, don't you?
No, but you see, that is when they've written their exams and we are marking the scripts.
It wouldn't take you 2 months to finish marking the scripts.
Mavi, there are certain handwritings. There are certain handwritings. We mark the script, we assess the students. By the time we are done, the holidays are over. So we say that, well, that is another issue. I have raised this issue several. Nobody could answer me because the law of Ghana mandates every worker to take his or her annual leave. And the number of days you are entitled for leave is according to your rank. Okay? So I've been asking this question, that what is the official leave period of the Ghanaian teacher? If the Ghana Education Service tells us that the holiday is the official leave period, then we will have to treat it as such.
They haven't?
They have, no. In answering that question, we'll bring different other questions to the fore.
So are you saying, Mr. Carbonu, that you have never in your teaching career gone on leave?
No. How could you? How could you? You are teaching a class of over, let's say a geography class of 50 students. And you are teaching geography Form 1, Form 2, Form 3. Or social studies Form 2, Form 3. You have over 500 scripts to mark. And you use the holiday to mark these scripts. And after marking the scripts, you enter the grades into a form and assess the students. So how many days of the holidays is actually mine? It has not been answered. We've not raised this yet. It will be raised though.
This is surprising that you even sometimes go on strike on other matters, but on this leave matter, we haven't seen you take any action. And you haven't petitioned the Labour Commission.
We haven't done that yet.
Interesting. That's very surprising.
But it's something I'm flagging, that when you meet any official of the Ghana Education Service, you can ask him or her to tell you the official leave period by the Ghana Education Service.
Finally, were you not supposed to, as teachers, voluntarily, was it supposed to be voluntarily or not, teach the students who come back on holidays from one of the tracks? Yeah,
the issue is this. If you take a school like, let's say, St. Mary's, you have students from all over Ghana. Sunyani, Kumasi, wherever, even all over Accra. So you cannot gather all of them during their break and say you are teaching them. In any case, where are you going to teach them? Because whilst they are supposed to be on holidays, another track is in school.
The same school.
It's in the same school. So the spaces that we don't have space to teach in the first place. Number two, certain teachers took the initiative of organizing classes in their schools for students who may come from other schools but live within the geographical area. And those teachers were asked to stop those classes.
Was it because they were charging the students?
Yeah, but it cannot be free.
But if you're using the premises of the school and the school is not charging you for it,
then there should be an arrangement that, okay, for whatever you charge, a 30% should come to the school and 70% go to the teachers. But if you say stop, that it means that you've even denied those students the opportunities of a well-organized school in teaching them within the community. So where do they go? So you have certain people who have organized classes in communities and they take advantage of the situation. One of the hottest business we have now is to be teaching gold or green track on holidays.
Yeah.
Yes. All over the place you see the posters and banners and people are charging exorbitant prices for our boys and girls to go for classes.
It looks like we have to revisit this whole issue of the free senior high, the double track in particular, because a lot of promises were made to us, assurances given to us, particularly these extra classes that we're talking about.
People talk about churches, that they were going to use churches and so on and so. None of them that is work.
I think we've also failed in that area because we didn't follow up. We just went to sleep on that.
And again, most of the people who were talking were not teachers, so they didn't even understand the dynamics.
Interesting. Well, President of NAGRAD, I appreciate your time this morning. We've been talking about the educational system. Specifically, we started off with the free senior high school and the issues that have come out because of that. We zeroed in on the double track. You brought some clarity, at least to my mind, but there are serious issues there to look at, and we'll be following up on that. We'll also try to get in touch with the Ghana Education Service on the concerns that NAGRAD is raising. And usually when they start slowly like this, it ends not so well when there are issues. The issues are not addressed. So we hope that it doesn't get there. Thank you, Mr. Carbonu, for your time here on the show.
Thank you very much, Mama V.
Which school did you go to?
Pope John's.
Okay,
the best.
Is it?
The best.
I agree. They've qualified for this year's National Science and Maths Quiz.